Welcome to Crimson Ed Talks. I'm your host, Jamie Beeden, sitting down with our co-founder, Feng Zhou. Today, FC and I are going to be diving into one of the most controversial topics in education. What is the actual point of being on college campuses? What do you actually get out of this tangibly that makes such a difference? And why can't you just take a bunch of Coursera classes or talk to fellow founders or investors to get this information? What is it about those, 4-year college experiences that really moves the dial, in your opinion?
Great question. So to me, I think there are several factors. Number one is structural learning. To me, going through a curriculum, going through a structure is very, very important. Of course, I can take, the Harvard CS 50 on edX. I can take some accounting courses, basically, any of the search results on Google, the front page. Those will do. But to me, I think this structure, this reinforcement, this semester by semester learning is very important. It helped me build a very solid foundation in computer science alongside applied math and statistics, which were my two minors. That gave me a very strong set of analytical tools that I was able to use later on during my internship at one of the most major investment banks, and of course for my role at Crimson as well. And my education at for my accounting degree eventually led to my chartered accountancy as well, and that skill transformed into my ability reading balance sheet, income statement, and other financial analysis with a lot of ease. So I think overall, structural learning is very important, and it's not something you can just give up or pause. You have to keep going at it. It's like training at your own gym or training in a sports team with dedicated coaches and other team members. Basically, I think the latter definitely gives you a lot of that consistent improvement and leveling up that you just don't get as a private learner. So I think that is number one. Number two is people that are also in the trench with you is very important, right? You can watch a YouTube video by yourself, at home learning about accounting, or you can learn alongside another 30, 40, 50 very intelligent, like-minded individuals. I think that exchange is very important. At these top universities, people often say that you learn as much, if not more, from your peers than from your professors. So I think that peer, that interaction is very important, and that's very different from the professional setting, right? So if you're an entrepreneur in a professional setting, you'd be interacting with your your colleagues, your peers, or your subordinates most of the time, your employees, right? Or sometimes you interact with investors once in a while. But in a school setting, right, everybody around you, there's no hierarchy, right? You're all friends. There's meaningful relationship, and then there's also continuous mentorship from all of these very amazing, accomplished faculty members. So I think that environment is a little bit different. And number three, I think, is that it's almost like to me, it's almost like a change of scenery, because I could be spending 6 hours consecutively grinding out like 9-12 calls, but after that, like for me, I'm still human. I'm not a machine. I can't be thinking about the same thing like for 16 hours straight, right? So I think I do some calls, or meetings, I go into classroom, learn some accounting, learn some computer science, be rejuvenated in that particular way.
One thing I would draw on is this idea that the 4-year degree is like a self-controlled chamber, because no one is impenetrable to procrastination. Everyone ultimately would love to just relax a little bit and, watch a good movie or something. But the 4-year degree forces you into this regular cycle of discipline, finishing assignments, working on team projects, studying for tests, studying for midterms. It also exposes you to a lot of stress and pressure. So I think it's actually very healthy to learn dealing with, so many deadlines simultaneously in that kind of relatively safe environment, because for sure, some of those weeks where I have 5 assignments due, the brain works in funny ways, and the psychological agony of knowing, oh my God, I've got to do an assignment due in 7 hours, or, the world's over. It feels like that. Now, in reality, if you miss your assignment, not the end of the world, but you're used to putting yourself under this kind of sustained, intense pressure for many, many years. The other thing that I'd mention is, the analogy of the personal trainer. I'm sure there are some amazing people out there who can just go to the gym and motivate themselves. But when you have that force structure of the personal trainer standing there, you're definitely going to lift those weights. You're going to push yourself harder than you normally can. a lot of the courses that I'd go into, some of these math courses, they look like a foreign language, like a Martian language when I first walk in. And then, you go through the process, and the, system of classmates and TAs and professors helps you to conquer that alien language and ultimately learn something that you probably couldn't have taught yourself.
Graduate school is actually a good example of people's willingness to get further education, or really, it's evidence for very smart, intelligent and hardworking people, how much they value education, right? Because at Harvard Business School, at Stanford, at many other institutions, I met people that are incredibly successful, either in their professional service lives or as entrepreneurs. But the fact that they're back on campus after 4 or 5 years of grinding in the professional world means that they want to continue to level up, right? So these folks get that 2-year education and then they continue into the business world, maybe start something new, or maybe continue to build their ventures. So, and I guess there must be a very strong reason for people to take that 2 years off, right? Spending $250,000 on investing in their education. I think, the rigorous training that they receive in these institutions, I think is very, very relevant to their future success. And that's why they're doing that. So if they're doing that on top of their college education or undergrad, I think, there's really very little reason for us not to even get that first step done, right? So I think that's one thing. And the other thing, Jamie, I think you made a very interesting point. I think entrepreneurship is already very risky. And sometimes I guess people see it as a black and white choice, right? You either drop out in entrepreneurship, be an entrepreneur, or you're a student. But I think going through the past 10 years, alongside Jamie and many other very entrepreneurial folks at Crimson, I don't really see that you have to make a choice between the two. And often I think these two elements kind of really reinforce one another, right? We use our, we did our education, we finished our education very strong, both in terms of our academic performance, in terms of, the scholarship or other accolades we're able to secure. So our education was not, the quality of that did not drop because of our entrepreneurial involvements or ambitions, right? But at the same time, we took the knowledge that we learned from the institutions, we leveraged the connections we're able to build within these institutions, and that had really speeded up our entrepreneurial efforts in terms of recruitment, in terms of fundraising, in terms of even marketing, right, around the world. So it's sometimes not a either or. You can, if you're strong enough, if you're entrepreneurial enough, if you're ambitious enough, you can sometimes do both. And then there is very little opportunity cost to be an entrepreneur, right? You don't have to do it at the expense of your own education. So I think that is probably a very compelling option for a lot of the next generation aspiring entrepreneurs.
You spoke a lot about all the different sources of value of these college degrees. I want to hear your take on one aspect of it, which is what people often ask about, which is the value of the people, the network, the friends. What does that look like? Did you find that these degrees actually helped you in terms of building out networks? Did they actually create some business value for you? How would you describe the people dynamic of these degrees that we've done?
I think it creates a ton of value on the people front. I mean, on a personal level, a lot of the friends that I made during my early undergrad years, I still keep in touch with them, till today. I mean, I was hanging out with a few of them last week even. I think, so those folks, at, some point actually were Crimson tutors. So I think they, they definitely helped a lot of our students. But I think more importantly, right, on a personal level, I think they provided a ton of support for me to go through, because we've been talking about today, being an entrepreneur and also a student is not that easy or straightforward. Sometimes you need a very good supporting layer behind you to keep you going. But I think on a professional level, absolutely, I've met a lot of folks that eventually either worked for our organization or provide a lot of guidance. Students is one thing, and also a lot of faculty, right? One of my, I guess, most cherished mentors is Professor Nicholas Dirks that I came across when I was at Tsinghua as part of the Schwartzman program. Nicholas Dirks, professor, was the last president or chancellor of UC Berkeley, one of the world's best public institutions. So in that class, I learned a lot about higher education, which was super relevant to our business. And eventually he agreed to join our advisory board and then continue to offer that mentorship. And I don't think I would be able to get a mentor very easily like Professor Dirks if I weren't in the program. So yeah, I think time and time again, I see the value of interacting with peers and faculty in these institutions, and that drives a lot of business value, either immediately or down the track.
It was an incredible discussion, FC. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Jamie. Bye, everyone.